I had the intention of making this video right after I finished Forspoken in 2022, but I didn't want to be the 80th person to dogpile on this game, so I placed it in the back burner and chose to revisit it sometime later. And here we are, at a time that is a lot later. Back when I first saw the teaser trailer for this game, it was known as Project Athia. It looked really cool. This black woman with a cape doing parkour magic, fighting large monsters. As more info came out and learning about the story and everything, it sounded really cool. I love the subgenre of portal fantasy, or what many have taken to calling it, by the Japanese word, isekai. Either way, I do enjoy the story of a woman escaping our normal, mundane and harsh world and being spirited away to an extraordinary, fantastical world where she embarks on a magical journey of self-discovery and maybe even become the savior of the world. It's a pure escapist power fantasy, which isn't a bad thing when it's done right. I've seen so many movies, TV shows and read books that fall into this genre. But when it comes to video games, I've only ever played two that fall into it, which was Final Fantasy Tactics Advance 1 and 2. So I was really excited about Forspoken. Forspoken is a 2023 open-world action RPG developed by the now-defunct Luminous Productions and published by Square Enix. The plot follows a young woman named Frey Holland who has faced numerous hardships in her life, including being abandoned as a child. She has been arrested again and is being arraigned at court.
Are you familiar with the Persistent Felony Offender Law, also known as the Three Strikes Law?
Wait, you can't do that. I never hurt anyone.
Just yourself. You have 2 previous felony thefts. And with this new one, your grand total will be 3. This could put you away for a very, very long time. You have so much
potential? I can do so much more with my life. I'm a smart girl with a bright future.
I was going to say you have so much anger and resentment in you, I'm not sure you'll ever amount to anything at all. Truth hurts. But in the holiday spirit, I'm going to give you an early present. Try not to piss it away. I'm going to release you under the condition you serve 120 hours of community service.
Thanks. You won't regret it.
On her way home, Frey is cornered by a comically intimidating crew.
Frey! Thought we wouldn't find you?
Hey,
Lisa!
Lisa? Really? I thought she was Lisa.
That's Chrissy!
Huh. Well, in my defense, you don't really look like a Lisa.
Sorry, but even with the blicky, I'm not threatened. Apparently, Frey owes their boss money, so they have come to collect. She manages to get away from them using her elite parkour skills. She makes it back home to her cat Homer. They're living in a bando. Sad hood video game.
Curiouser and curiouser, cried Alice. Wish I could find that rabbit hole and tumble away to Wonderland.
Frey falls asleep, only to wake up to flames. The trio from before just happened to be psychotic and set her building on fire. Instead of Frey to grab the bag of cash that holds all her life savings that is right next to her and then run to the next room to save her cat, the game forces you to leave the bag to get Homer first.
Gotta find Homer first.
Anyway, she rescues her cat with the intention of getting the money second, but as expected, the money we left behind goes up in flames too.
Fuck the bag!
Homeless with no place to go, Frey calls the judge from earlier and entrusts her with Homer's care.
Frey, what's going on?
Her name is Homer. Promise me you'll look after her. Promise. Thank you.
Having lost everything, Frey stands atop a building and looks out to the Holland Tunnel, the same place where she was abandoned as an infant.
Happy birthday to me.
Frey is magically drawn to an old abandoned shop where she finds a strange piece of arm jewelry, bangle, vambrace thing, that opens a portal to a magical world called Athia, a beautiful yet desolate place that is plagued by a miasma called the Break that corrupts all life forms, twisting them into monsters. Frey, however, is immune, and the vambrace that brought her to this world is sentient.
You, the one talking to me right now, are this... cuff?
Cuff? It's a bit reductive, isn't it? Cuff?
She nicknames him Cuff, and together, Frey and Cuff wield powerful magic to defend themselves against the monsters.
Oh! Bring it, you mangled monsters!
Frey and Cuff reach the city of Sepal, the last stronghold for humanity, where she is promptly arrested. The people are suspicious as to how she was able to survive the break.
Who are you, child?
Who are you?
I would humble thyself and answer their questions.
My name is Frey Holland. I do not know how I got here. I am exhausted.
Her vestments are strange. Where is she from?
Hell's Kitchen.
You see? She is Hell's spawn. How else could she survive in the corruption?
Please, how did you emerge from the corruption of Junoon unscathed?
I wouldn't exactly say unscathed.
It is because she and the corruption are one and the same. We must execute her immediately!
She's helped by a woman named Auden and is told that Athia was once ruled by 4 Taunters, essentially goddess-like beings who went mad as the world was corrupted by the break and turned on Athians. Frey is tasked with stopping all 4 Taunters and saving Athia if she wants a chance at getting back home to New York.
Full circle. Happy birthday to me.
Overall, I think Ella Balinska did a good job at portraying Frey. I like her. She's sarcastic, no nonsense, and has the expected amount of cynicism for a person that has lived a hard life. Frey comes off as apathetic sometimes. She struggles to form connections with other people due to her abandonment issues, of course. You get the sense that she treats relationships as transactional, hesitant to call someone a friend as friendship comes with expectations and disappointments. I think Frey's mentality is if she doesn't have any friends, she can't disappoint people, and people can't disappoint her. Therefore, she won't be abandoned again. This fear weighs heavily on Frey, and it's why she's hesitant to embrace the savior title.
You are the only hope we have.
You're special.
Okay, you obviously don't know me.
As she doesn't see herself as one. She clearly doesn't hold a high opinion of herself, and being told very recently that she's never going to amount to anything really didn't do much to help boost her confidence. Frey is clearly out of her element in Athia, and from what I've seen online, people found it difficult to care about this world because Frey didn't care about this world, and would usually point to this cutscene.
I don't care what happens to Athia. If it's saved or if it burns, I don't give a shit because this place is not my home.
The comments online will go something like this. If the main character doesn't care about this world, then why should I? Then they will go on to call Frey selfish. Now Frey may be self-serving and self-reliant only because she had to be, but she's far from selfish.
He can't die. Auden needs him. I need him. Athia needs him.
Her story is that of the reluctant hero archetype who initially rejects heroism. In these types of stories, it usually takes the protagonist witnessing something tragic happen. The loss of innocence is the catalyst for them to step up and begin to earn that hero status. So this is what led up to the scene. Frey agreed to a mutually beneficial transaction with Auden that was initiated by Auden breaking Frey out of prison.
Here, these are his notes on the Tirana.
Yeah, this looks familiar.
You can have this after you help me.
Quid pro quo. I get it.
Frey meets this cute little orphan girl called Olivia that tried to pick her pocket.
Second rule of pickpocketing, never give back what you stole.
What's the first rule?
Don't get caught.
It's clear that Frey sees her younger self in Olivia, and Olivia is enamored by Frey in return.
Listen, kid. From personal experience, you gotta look out for yourself. People only really get saved in fairy tales.
You're wrong. You'll see.
Frey found Auden's father out in the wilds, partially break-addled, and brings him back to Sepal. On arrival, they see the Taunter of Strength, Scylla, terrorizing everyone.
She is the one who freed the demon!
Please,
Your Highness, your anger will not serve us now. Tell Tanta Sila where she is, child.
Frey jumps in to rescue Auden and defeats Sila's recreant knight. There are casualties, including Olivia.
The girl must be surrendered to Tanta Sila at once.
No need. I'll go to her myself.
Frey swears vengeance on Tanta Sila. She seeks her out in her castle, defeats her, and boldly declares victory in Olivia's name. But when the dust settles, Frey is conflicted that she took the life of another person.
I just wanted to punish her. Thought it would make me feel better.
But it didn't.
No.
It's no easy thing to take the life of another.
This I did out of anger. It was premeditated.
It was self-preservation. She was never going to stop coming after you. More innocents would have died. More Olivias.
I guess. Kill one to save many, right?
Exactly.
How Forspoken chose to depict Frey's reluctant hero's journey was to have this constant back and forth of Frey being celebrated for her heroism, only for it to be upended by tragedy. Seeing as Frey was ideating not too long ago, the survivor's guilt is overwhelming. She wants to leave Athia so she doesn't get anybody else hurt.
I'm to blame. Wherever I go turns to shit. It's always been this way. No, I did this. I'm so sorry.
During her fight with the Tanta of Justice Prav, Frey discovers that she's actually from Athia. She is the daughter of the Tanta of Love, Cinta. So she has to deal with all those abandonment issues from childhood coming back in.
Whatever. Whoever she is, she's still the monster who abandoned her baby.
Come along now, Frey. Chin up.
When she returns to Sepal, Robian is dying. Frey is physically and emotionally drained, and when she thinks she's alone, she says this.
Fuck! Break Bob was my last shot at getting out of this place. Now I'm stuck in this insanity.
Apologies if my father's death has inconvenienced you.
That's not what I meant.
No?
Auden overhears her, and she is understandably upset and lashes out on Frey.
I have lost the father who I only was just reunited with. Who I was hoping to spend more time with.
No, I didn't.
Didn't what? Think? No, your only concern is for yourself. But don't let our grief and assured destruction get in the way of your self-pity.
Okay, that's fair.
Fair? You want to talk about fair? What's unfair is the only person capable of helping us is too self-absorbed to do so.
I've shed blood for this place.
Our people welcomed you. They were frightened. Rightfully so. But they still welcomed you.
Auden's feelings are completely valid, but so are Frey's. And just to kind of push back on some of the things that Auden said, Frey was not welcomed with open arms. The people of Athia did not welcome her. The council wanted to behead her. People were afraid, yes, I get that. But it's only when Frey showed that she could be of use to the people and save them is when they started to welcome her in. And to Frey, that is another type of transactional thing.
Yeah, that sounds about right. People only give a shit when they want something from you.
She was told that she had to risk her life and kill people, essentially sacrifice herself.
That's straight up murder. I'm not killing anyone else.
Then what do you propose to do about this?
I don't know. This is not my fight. These are not my people. I have enough blood on my hands.
And you know, after so many years of watching black women in the fantasy genre become the self-sacrificing Negro, it was nice to see Frey push against it. Anyway, Frey planned to seek out Cinta and demand for her to send her back to New York, but on her way out, she's pulled into a confrontation with the Tanta of Wisdom, Olas. Olas traps Frey inside of an illusion of an ideal life in New York, where her mother was there for her. Frey manages to escape the illusion with help from Cuff.
Wow. It's almost like you don't want us to drink here.
Yes, the owner is very duplicitous. Get out while you can.
I'm sorry. Excuse us.
This place is not what it seems. Wake up, Frey, before it's too late.
They fight through the maze and venture to her castle, where they find her slowly withering away. Now, every time Frey defeated a Tanta, she and Cuff would claim their powers for their own. But this time, Cuff doesn't want to.
Sorry, Frey, but this is where we part ways.
Here's a big reveal. Cuff is actually a demon named Susurrus. The whole time the Tantas were talking about an interloper, a demon.
Hail, interloper, bold upstart, so fair of face, yet black of heart.
Frey! No name for a demon.
They were talking about the presence that Frey carried with her. Susurrus is the one responsible for the break, and it all started 21 years ago. He knew who Frey was all along and was guiding her to this moment. The one person who Frey had trusted, who hasn't left her side because he couldn't, who has protected her and shown concern for her, especially when she was trapped in the illusion, was working against her this whole time. Frey is rescued by the dragon from earlier, who turns out to be Tanta Cinta.
Oh, isn't this touching? A mother tries to save her child.
Mother?
I thought this was really cool. The first big boss that you fight is a dragon, and for some reason the dragon just decides to stop and pick you up and drop you outside of Sepal. It was her mum the whole time. Cinta brings Frey to a temple for past Tantas, where the spirits of Scylla, Prav and Olas, free from the madness, tell Frey the truth. Many years ago, they were at war with the Reddig, a land not too far from Athia. They managed to win the war, but the Reddig unleashed the final strike on Athia, the demon called Susurrus. The Tantas combined their strength to contain Susurrus, but he bonded to all of them just like he did with Frey, and slowly drove them mad. Cinta comes for Frey and shows her glimpses of the past, and how she travelled through a portal, the Torana, to get to Earth, where she met Frey's father.
It was remarkable, Robia, and quite unlike Athia. Dazzling lights at every turn, and so many people. Such chaos, and yet such beauty.
Who we never see, by the way. He probably doesn't even know that the woman he was with 21 years ago was even pregnant.
And one day, you shall know your father. A hero in every sense of the word. I'm sorry, Al. You deserve to know about your daughter. Our darling, precious Alfred.
Finally learning the truth of her parentage and her destiny, Frey regains her earth magic. Cinta guides Frey through more memories of each Tanta, where she must prove herself and claim their powers once again. And finally, Frey learns why her mother had to send her to Earth.
I could not risk your coming to harm by my hand. And so, I sent you away.
Now with everything brought to the light, Cinta presents Frey with a choice. To go back to New York and resume her regular life there, or to challenge Susurrus and save Athia. So you can choose to head back to New York, and Frey is back where she was. Houseless, penniless, still being hunted down by a gang, but at least she has her cat.
Where do we go now?
So, with Portal fantasy stories, I've always wondered why the protagonist would want to go back home, especially if the life that they were living was miserable. The reason that was given for a protagonist to return was this type of moral message to the audience, that it's wrong to escape from your problems and retreat into this fantasy world. And usually the experiences that you had in this fantasy world would benefit you in the real world. Given the current state of our world, you can see how our attitudes towards escapism has shifted from temporary to permanent, where the protagonist has no choice but to remain in this fantasy world. By choosing to stay in Athia, Frey is facing the root of her problems. She's no longer running away.
It's time to do the right thing. It's time to use my powers for Athia.
She can be the hero she was destined to be. Now that she has returned to her birthplace, she must reclaim her birthright. Sepal is under attack. Frey rescues everyone and they retreat into the library, where Frey gives her people a hopeful speech.
I'm gonna put an end to this madness, but I need you to promise me something. I need you to rebuild. I need you to restore peace to Athia. It's what the Tantas would have wanted. Just try and survive through this, okay? You're Athians!
Together, mother and daughter stand up against Sorceress, but he hits Cinta with a devastating attack and kills her. Fueled by rage, now is the time for Tanta Frey to rise.
Tanta Frey, daughter of Cinta, protector of Athia. And I'm here to fuck you up!
How is the power of the 4 Tantas?
Correction, the 5.
Frey fights him with everything that she has and tries to appeal to his kinder nature that's buried somewhere in that golden husk of his. All 5 Tantas combine their efforts and subdue the demon once again.
You're not going anywhere.
The day is saved and the people of Athia gather to celebrate and finally mourn all who they have lost. Frey has found a new lease on life and monologues to Homer about never giving up, being a hero, and finding the light when things are darkest.
Listen, you ever get lonely, you just remember that you are not alone. Even if you find yourself with nowhere to turn and no clue where to go or what to do next, you can't give up hope. You might think there's nothing left to live for, that nobody cares. But the truth is, you matter, even when you can't see it. Granted, you might fuck up along the way, but you'll find your way home in the end. I promise, I did. And look at me now, huh? Tanta Frey, daughter of Cinta, protector of Athia. I'll come back for you. I promise. Just look out for me, okay? See you on Athia.
In the epilogue, the break still hasn't cleared, and Auden and Frey are determined to fix it, along with Cuff,
It's fan brace.
who is once again back on Frey's wrists. There are a lot of great things to like about this game. The combat, for instance. The combat system is quite unique. I've personally never played anything remotely similar to it, with this elemental magic parkour system. It can be quite tricky to get into at first, as you can see in the gameplay here. I'm out of practice. I just think it's about finding the right timing and rhythm to flow effortlessly. Once you have all 4 elements is when you really feel unstoppable. Unfortunately, it's only when you are near the end of the game where you get to fully enjoy all 4 elements. Each element suits the Tanta's different domains. Frey's own magic is earth-based, which makes sense. She's a down-to-earth, very grounded person. She comes from a concrete jungle. She's also a Capricorn. She mostly fights at a distance, hurling rock projectiles. When she gains Tanta Sylar's magic, who is about strength and warfare, her fight style switches up. It's more close combat, using fire swords and spears, and even her fists sometimes, and then also controlling troops of these magma people. Prav has water and ice magic. You can float in the air with her and surf on bodies of water too. I will say my favorite magic was Olos. The green electric illusion has more precision, I feel, and has these really devastating reality distortion attacks. I really enjoyed the crafting of accessories, the capes and the necklaces. The necklaces you can upgrade until they get more like elaborate and ostentatious. There's also nail art. The only other time I've seen nails used in a game to give the character a power boost was in Shining Nikki, and I would like to see it more in different games too. I wonder when they'll introduce nails in Infinity Nikki. Then there's the cat collectathon. So throughout the game, there's these cute little odd looking winged cats, the Tanta's familiars that you can find everywhere, and you can befriend them and they will show up in safe houses where you can cuddle with them. I was hunting these cats down just so they can fill up the room. This is what it's all about right here, living that cozy cat lady dream.
Whoa. I think you just leveled up.
The bulk of Forspoken's criticism was towards the writing, especially the dialogue.
Did that piss bucket do something to annoy you?
No. You know what? You did. Because of you, I'm not getting back to...
Newark?
New York. How hard is that to remember?
Maybe it's hard to remember as Vambrace?
Cuff speaks to Frey quite a lot during the game. His voice actually comes out of the controller's speakers. Great choice. It made me feel like he was actually on my arm pestering me.
Oh, hello, yes. Oh, perhaps you're smarter than you look.
The banter between the two of them can be an acquired taste. I don't think it bothered me as much as it did other people. Although I will say there wasn't a moment where I genuinely laughed at their back and forth banter. And sometimes, yeah, I did find their dialogue to be intriguing when it was related to the main plot. But other than that, it was whatever to me. But what was interesting though was the playful banter in the main game switched up to be a little bit more hostile in the post game now that it came out that Cuff was actively rooting for everyone's demise.
Just to be clear, we aren't starting anything. I'm gonna use you to clean up the mess you made.
You know this is just the beginning. You can't keep me like this forever. I'll drive you out of your mind soon enough.
So let's get into the accusations of the insincere, snarky, self-aware quips that was pretty much everywhere in superhero movies of the 2010s, popularized by Marvel and Joss Whedon.
Did I just do that?
Well, definitely with my assistance.
I did not just do that.
We did.
I just move shit with my mind.
Perhaps.
I just move shit with my freaking mind! Yeah, okay, that is something I do now. I do magic, talk to sentient cuffs, kill jacked up beasts. You know what? I'll probably fly next.
Now you're just being ridiculous.
This line was featured a lot in the trailers, and it was a lot of people's introduction to the game. I just think after a decade of, well, that just happened, being all over Hollywood movies and TV shows and making fun of yellow spandex and such, people are tired of it. I know I am, as are many others. But in Forspoken's defense, how else is Frey, a grown woman from our world, supposed to react when she can move shit with her mind? You bloody well know that if you gained the ability to levitate, you would have a similar reaction. Plus, on arrival, Frey is in awe of Athia, and I found it relatable how she would swear while fighting, because that's how I play games. There was a moment where Frey took a hit and she yelled fuck, and at the same time I yelled fuck, and that made me laugh because that's real. Finally, as a quick aside, I am a fan of Buffy, and the way how the character spoke then, being all self-aware and quips and stuff, was unique for its time, and Whedon was praised for it. But you know who doesn't get enough praise? Marty Noxon, who joined the writing staff in season 2 when the show actually got better. She was most likely the one who reeled in a lot of the Whedonisms and added more of that sentimentality and sincerity to the series. But that whole thing could be its own video. My own issues with the writing stems from not feeling fully immersed in the world's lore when it came to the Tantas. I think they may have been so reliant on surprising the player with the twist reveal of Cuff that they didn't leave enough breadcrumbs for us. If Jodie the archivist talked about the Redig early on, since most of the lore was confined to the archives, most players tend to skip over codex in games unless it's a big important quest item. Honestly, to me, it just felt that the huge portion of the world building came in the final act and the DLC, which is too bad because not that many people purchased the DLC.
My favorite kicks. I could stare at you guys all day.
I was talking with a mutual on Discord about accents in the fantasy genre and the types of ones you would expect to hear. We agreed that our own accents, my specific London one and her specific New York one, would not normally be in a high fantasy setting. But with Portal Fantasy, you would think it would allow for more variations. We both agreed that it would have been sick if Frey sounded like Cleopatra or somebody.
Death to all abusers. Die, die, die.
When it comes to Frey's blackness, there were issues from the start. I highly doubt that during the inception of the game that Frey was black. It was probably when Ella Balinska came along to voice her is when they decided to use her likeness for the character, which is fine. An actor's physical features are sometimes incorporated into the design of a character. What isn't fine though is what I read in a Kotaku article about how the motion capture director Tom Keegan described Frey's hip-hoppy walk.
Hip-hop is this. 1, 2, 3, 4, hit, and
This was exaggerated swagger of a black teen all over again. Because what do you mean hip-hoppy walk? Describe to me what I'm supposed to be seeing in Frey's walk. Besides, Ella Balinska doesn't even give that.
I think that hand-eye coordination is really important, and it's those motor skills, practicing those motor skills are really cool.
She really does look like her mum Lorraine Pascal when she smiles, doesn't she? Honestly, when it comes to black main characters in video games, why do people find it so hard to be normal when describing and complimenting them? Anyway, this whole hip-hop walk thing is clearly a problem that stemmed from there being no black people in the game's development. Regardless of intentions, if you aren't aware of stereotypes, you are going to end up relying on some of them when creating a black character. Like colorism. Frey is a mixed, lighter-skinned black woman. The darker-skinned black people that Frey encountered in the game are quite antagonistic towards her. Councilwoman Belette harbored the same suspicion that most Athians had of Frey, but she was quick to side with Councilman Jonah to surrender Frey to Sylar.
You saw what she did. She will kill us all. Surely, Councilwoman Belette. Surely you agree with me.
Yes, seize her.
Later on, she does become more reasonable with Frey after she defeats Sylar.
Frey, I came to tell you that I was mistaken.
Say what?
I misjudged you.
But it was mostly the dark-skinned people that Frey interact with in New York that I had a problem with. Lisa's crew. 2 of them are dark-skinned, and they barely say anything to Frey besides threats and look intimidating. And of course, there's Judge Bird. I guess I understand why they took the tough love approach with her, but I still think it would have had the same outcome if she did say Frey was a smart girl with a bright future. Frey didn't have to believe her, but some consistent compassion towards her that came from a single person would have been nice, considering that Frey was about to face back-to-back danger. Also, it would have been understandable for Frey wanting to leave her cat with Judge Bird as she was the only person who believed in her. And then there's Frey's absent father.
So Cinta got to New York the same way I got to Athia and met my dad there. Who the hell was he?
Just saying. I don't know, man. Maybe if Auden had been a dark-skinned black woman, it would have lessened that sour taste for me.
Wherever I go, trouble follows.
Frey, don't say such things. You deserve more kindness than you've been shown, more than you show yourself.
Black girl gamers were brought in as consultants late into the game's development, and according to them, very few of suggestions that they made regarding colorism and hair textures did not make it into the game, obviously. Like, why are you asking me for advice on how to bake a cake when you already placed it in the oven 20 minutes ago? Chelsea, come on now. This 2023 BuzzFeed article by Sydney Thompson goes in depth with some of the problems I had regarding Frey's blackness, and also talks about the internet backlash the game got that I'm not interested in rehashing for my own mental health. A decade after its release, we are still feeling the impact of what The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild left on gaming. I don't need to explain how this game was a masterpiece because there are thousands of videos on YouTube that have already done so. Breath of the Wild was not the first open world game, obviously. You can tell what influenced it, but it was such a breath of fresh air, haha. But they introduced a lot of new things into it that was so innovative that other studios took notes and tried to follow suit. Open world games would take over action-adventure games and RPGs. It seemed as if every studio wanted to capture that feeling of wanderlust by building these huge worlds that were ripe for exploration. Some games managed to pull that off, while others not so much. Forspoken is visually stunning and a brilliant showcase of what the Luminous engine can do. The environments are breathtaking: tall mountains, ancient ruins, lush green forests, open meadows, and clear rivers, all ideal for doing cool, magical parkour tricks. After a few hours of playing, doing numerous side quests and exploration, I came to the realization that despite this large, beautiful world that the devs have crafted, it felt kinda empty. Now, part of this is due to narrative reasons, of course. Every single NPC of varying importance are located in Sepal, except for one secret merchant in Visoria who is incredibly easy to miss. This means there's nobody that Frey can interact with when she's out and about except for Cuff. Even in Sepal, the side quests and detours were basic. It was mostly fetch quests, and of course the use your phone to take pics for the children quest. Throughout Athia, there are these safe houses that Frey can rest and craft items in. What I think would have been interesting was that for every safe house that Frey found, there would be mementos of the person that lived there before. Maybe a few of them had a surviving relative back in Sepal that Frey could bring back keepsakes for. Little bits of environmental and emotional storytelling that relate back to the people that Frey is being asked to fight for. All of this brings to light a personal issue I have with open world games, that bigger isn't always better. One of the first games I bought on the PS5 was Kena Bridge of Spirits. It's a small game made by an indie studio, Ember Lab, and it is so beautiful. The game takes place in an abandoned forest village near the mountains that is plagued by malevolent spirits. The protagonist Kena has been tasked with cleansing the village of the decay. Kena Bridge of Spirits shares some similarities with Forspoken. Like Frey, Kena is on her own, traversing a devastated wasteland. Like Frey, Kena is joined by a companion that can aid her in combat. Although Kena's companions are much more adorable and keep their cute little mouths shut, but they also have a secret that they're hiding. Despite those similarities, Kena's world does not feel as empty because it is not an open world. It's more open exploration. Either way, this game's map is about a fraction of the size of Forspoken's. The empty spaces do not seem that empty when the play box is smaller. With Kena, every corner I turned in that lush forest, I felt as if I was learning a tiny piece of a bigger story. There were letters and keepsakes that were left behind, which emphasized that people had actually lived in these dilapidated houses. Some of them managed to escape, but some of them didn't, and you could feel that emotional weight of the story. I liked Forspoken, but I really wanted to love it. On paper, it had everything that I wanted in a game. Great ideas, but not the best of executions. Forspoken was the second game developed by Luminous Productions, and because it did so poorly, the studio was shut down a year later. Once again, we must learn the lesson that stunning graphics does not make for a great game. If Forspoken sounds like a game that you're interested in, please, by all means, check it out. Play the demo or rent it if you can, and if you enjoy it, purchase it. I really did enjoy my time playing this game again. And I'm glad that a game like Forspoken was made. I remember just a decade ago, there was a list out that showed a very small handful of video games that had a black woman as the main protagonist. And that list has changed now. There are many more wonderful games out there featuring black women as the main character in big studio games as well as independent games. Quite recently, I played Flintlock Siege of Dawn. That one was really hard, not gonna lie. I've been playing on easy mode because I don't like suffering. I can't wait to play South of Midnight. That game looks so good and the story is really interesting. Just from watching the documentary, you can see that a lot of research went into depicting the folklore and the cultures. And there were black people in the room right from the start. Great, more of that. I just wish that this wasn't an Xbox exclusive, just so more people have a chance to play. If you played Forspoken, let me know what you think. And if you know of any video games with black female main characters, let everyone know where to get it, especially if it's an indie game, and even more especially if the dev team is black. As always, thank you to my patrons Cheyenne Lynn, Ariana Hook, Kemi, Mariah, M. Zage, Jill Fins, Des and Hill Richards Campbells, Taylor Moore, Critica, Hyphenated, Go Love, Amrit S, Isabel A. Ledger, Malpertuous, and Super Geek. For exclusive videos and previews, consider joining. I'm still bad at outros. Goodbye, everyone.